Tranquil. I'm so excited to be here. I do apologize. We're just a couple minutes late, technical difficulties. These things do happen. And I just want to welcome you to episode 2 of Passion Cure. Passion Cure is focused on bringing to light persons who are pursuing their passions. And today we have a very special guest. It's Funmi Oni. Did I pronounce it correctly?
You did a
I'd
good
like
job.
to say welcome to you. Now, I'm really looking forward to speaking with her because she will be talking about a topic which I think is relevant to us all: how to build a resilient lifestyle, self esteem, self confidence, and self care you can be proud of. And she will also be promoting her latest book, Snapback. Now, before we dive any further, just allow me to tell you a little bit more about Funmi. She's a certified personal coach and therapeutic counselor. She has been working and supporting individuals professionally since 2003, working within a wide range of areas from those who have experienced domestic violence to people suffering from depression. Her strongest desire is to work and assist people going through tough times and emotional issues. Now, she's also a member of the British Association of Counselors and Psychotherapists and a member of the International Coaching Federation, and has been awarded a Coach of Excellence by the CPD Standards Office. I must say, well done to you, Funmi, on all the lovely work that you are doing.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. So, you are here today to talk to us about building a resilient lifestyle, self esteem, self confidence, and self care that we can be proud of. And you've also written a book on the topic. And I was just doing a quick research before we started the program, and I was surprised to see that, according to Dr. Joey Bruno, he mentioned that 85% of Americans, and that's just Americans, suffer from low self esteem. So I just want to say to anyone who might be watching us live or you might be watching the replay, if you struggle with self esteem, you struggle with low self confidence, and putting your self care first, then you're not alone in dealing with this issue. So come join us live. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, feel free to type any questions in the comments as well. And I will head right over to Funmi right now and just start this off by asking her what prompted her to write this book.
Thank you so much, Dr. Melissa, for having me on this event. And thank you for all the beautiful work that you have been doing. I
Thank
have
you.
been a silent fan of yours for the past few years. I've been
I wasn't
watching.
even aware. Thank you, my darling.
Yes, I have been. I have been following you. I've been watching all the work that you've been doing. So I'm really thrilled to be here with you, to be part of what you're doing, promoting health,
Yes,
mental
glad to
health
have
care.
you.
Thank you. Yes. So, what prompted me to write the book? It was my own personal journey,
Mm-hmm.
that prompted me. And, like the research that you just mentioned, 85% of Americans, it might sound huge, but it's true. Statistics does say that at least one out of every four persons will have mental health issues at one point in time or the other. You know, Growing up, it's been something I had battled with, but we're talking about over 30, 40 years ago, where
Yes.
the term mental health and self-esteem was not popular. So I had what seemed on the outside to look like a lovely childhood, a little girl growing up, but internally that was not the case.
Mm-hmm.
So I had
Mm-hmm.
low self-esteem because I had to move schools, move countries. And what I have found is this still resonates with a lot of my clients, and I'm sure a lot of people as well. So it affected my self-esteem.
I think we've lost sound for me. I can't hear you. I still can't hear you. You're muted. There was a little static and then we just lost sound. Well, Funmi will be back shortly. Some technical difficulties today. I'm not sure what's going on with StreamYard, but we've been trying to connect and we had a little problem. So I'm sure she's going to be back shortly. And if you're watching us live and you do struggle with self esteem, just stay tuned or catch up on the replay, because I know it's an issue for many, many people. Like she said, 1 in 4 persons struggle with self esteem. And although you may appear one way on the inside, this is something that's going on internally within us, and it can really, really affect us in life. So I'm hoping that Funmi will be able to join us so that she can continue this discussion. I have another live at 2:30 as well, so I'm really hoping she'll be able to sign back in and we can continue this discussion, because I have been really looking forward to speaking with her, and I know that she'll be able to provide you with great, great insights into the subject. I think she's probably having. Let me see if there's any text message. These are the things that happen when you try to go live. I mean, how many of you have run a webinar before, put everything in place for the webinar, and then on the night of the webinar, boop, some technical difficulty with Zoom or something happens, and you get all flustered because it's the first time perhaps you have to deal with a technical issue, and it can really, really put you off. But you know what? The approach that I have when these things happen, especially when it's something out of your control, it's just something out of your control. It's something out of your control. You see what you can do about it, and then you just get back into the groove. I'll have a drink of water. So I'm giving her about 2 more minutes. I really hope she could rejoin us. And of course, self esteem is a topic I would really, really love her to speak about, because I too struggle with my own self esteem issues, being a victim of child abuse myself. And I experienced child abuse when I was about 8 years old, and it affected my self esteem for quite many, many years. And as she rightfully said, it's something that you feel on the inside, despite externally I seemed to be a happy kid. I was doing well in school, you know, but within, deep within me, it affected my self esteem, my self worth, the value that I gave to myself. So if you're struggling with self esteem, this is definitely something that you don't want to just let lie, because it will affect you at work, it will affect you in your career, it will affect you professionally, and it will affect you in your personal life. So if you're struggling with it, don't remain a silent struggler, but instead get the support that you need, get the help that you need, so that you can become more confident, you can recognize your own self value and self worth, right? And you can get ahead in life. I want to encourage anybody watching me live today, or anyone watching the replay, that struggle with self esteem, that struggle with self care, something also that she's going to talk about. Because self care is something too that contributes to your self esteem. So if you struggle with that as well, don't put it on the back burner, but make it a priority in your life. So I think she's back with us now. Awesome. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, I can.
Awesome. I was just trying to fill in the gap while you were gone.
I was listening. Thank you so much. Yes,
So
absolutely.
just continue with your stream of thought.
Okay. Yes, so I
Yes.
was saying that, so it affected me, it affected the way I saw myself, the way I perceived myself, and ultimately the kind of jobs that I went for, the kind of, basically everything. And I didn't see myself as someone who anybody would want to listen to. I didn't see myself as anybody would want to have around. And
Mm-hmm.
what I realized is these are all the internal dialogues I was having about myself. I was defensive. I didn't trust anybody. I had questions. I had doubts. And these were the kind of things that happened to me as a person. Fast track 2006, I had an opportunity to go for a counseling program training, which I'm ever grateful to God for, because it was an eye opener for me. I saw
Mm-hmm.
myself, in a different way. So initially, the training was for me to be able to help people, but it helped me first, right?
Yes.
I
Awesome.
was able
That's
to
what you're
glean
supposed to
from.
do. Yes.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. So yeah, so that was what prompted me. So we're in 2001 year. So it didn't just change like that. And this is
Mm-hmm.
why I tell my clients, you don't go into therapy hoping that, you walk in and you walk out and you're transformed. It's
Mm-hmm.
a process,
That's
right?
right.
As long
Mm-hmm.
as you make up your mind, you dedicate your mind, your time, you're committed, it would work for you. So that's what made me write Snapback. I felt this is my truth, this is my journey, but it can help a lot of people.
Yes, I really, really love that. And there's something you said when we started. You mentioned that although you seemed happy on the outside, that was taking place internally within you. So, the truth of the matter is what's going on the inside. We really need to pay attention to first and foremost, and that's what you did. And I love how you mentioned that it's a process. It's not something that happens by the snap of the fingers. Although I love the title, it's the snapback, yes, but it's
Yes, it is.
definitely a process and a journey. So, what would you say are the telltale signs that shows that people need to improve or work on their self-esteem?
Okay, so one of the things that would help you to understand that you are suffering from low self esteem is if you find that you're constantly making things up as you go along, right? If you're constantly fearful, so you have fear, you're stopping yourself, you have thoughts of, you have dreams that you want to achieve, but you can't you see yourself achieving those dreams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that could be that your low self-esteem, your self-esteem is low. And another telltale sign is if you don't like to see yourself in the midst of people, you struggle. A lot of the clients I work with, they tell me that they don't want to go outside, they don't want to mix with people. If they are in the workplace, they struggle to bring across their points. So they have ideas, they've got thoughts going on in their head, but to open up their mouth and share, they just can't because of fear of criticism. They feel people will criticize them. They feel people would say the ideas that they brought does not add up. You know, that's another telltale sign. And also, very common one, very popular telltale sign is, the fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you don't know what's happening. And the truth is, this is everybody, every successful individual you see, they have an idea of what they want to achieve, but they go for it, right? Someone who is suffering from low self esteem, they would not go for their goals
Mm-hmm.
because they feel they're not worth it. They feel they're
Mm-hmm.
unworthy. In relationships, they feel anybody that shows them love is out there to get something, right? Because they don't feel they're worthy of love. They
Mm-hmm.
don't feel that they're worthy to be in a relationship. They don't feel their family loves them. They're questioning, they're always doubting people's intentions towards them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Wow, that's quite in depth. That's very, very much in depth in terms of the telltale signs that persons can have if they're struggling with low self esteem. And to any of our listeners, I know many of our listeners, due to the time difference, sometimes you can't show up live when you watch the replay. If you can identify yourself or recognize that you struggle with that as well, please, please don't leave it on the back burner. Pay attention to it. Pay attention to it. And I think one of the things I always say, the first step to change is accepting that you need to change. So you've got to accept that, okay, I struggle with this as well. Then it's time for me to get the help that I need, you
yeah,
know?
and it's interesting that you said that because so I recently came up with a product, and one of the things that I tell people that can help you is awareness.
Mm-hmm.
You being aware
Mm-hmm.
that the way you are is not the way you should be or the way you could be, that there is a
Mm-hmm.
better version of yourself.
That's right.
And so snapback actually helps people to snap right back to where they should be,
Yes.
because knowing what the root cause to the way you feel right now is another pointer. If you understand how you came to be in that situation. So for a lot of people, we talk about childhood experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that happened to me, my childhood experiences, young people who have been exploited, sexually abused, um, they've witnessed domestic violence. There are a lot of things in our childhood that leads us to being the way we are. But also trauma. As an
Mm-hmm.
adult, if you've experienced trauma, you know, you being aware that, right, okay, before this incident happened, I was a happy person.
Mm-hmm.
This was not the way I used to be. So you being aware of what could have been long-term illnesses as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
people who have suffered for a long time and then they're having to go back to work, they begin to question their skills, their abilities, technology is gone, everything's different from what they used to know. So that does affect our self-esteem, just being aware what happened, what made the equilibrium shift, you know.
Yes. Wow, I love that. Really, really love that. And that point you make about being aware is so critical. What happened? And many times we tend to go through experiences in life, and it's hard to come to that point where we're willing to accept, okay, this is what happened and this is what caused it. As you mentioned, that it took me right back to my childhood. I was sharing with our listeners that while you were off, that for me personally, I experienced child abuse when I was young, about the age of 8. And although throughout my schooling years I was a high achiever, and on the outside it seemed like everything was well, but on the inside, within me, I too struggled with that self-esteem and that self-worth. Although it would not be evident in my academic results, but it was there inside, and if you struggle with this, if someone is watching us live today and they are struggling with it, they have some of the symptoms that you've just shared, or they fall into the category of people who tend to struggle with self-esteem, like you just explained. What can they do about it? What nuggets can you share with them that they can do, that if anything that they can attempt today, can practice today, or put in place in their life today, and begin to see results?
Thank you so much, Duff. Yes, what are the nuggets? I'll share a few. And the first
Mm-hmm.
one, you have actually shared that, is being aware, you
Yes.
know, recognizing the fact that, right, I need help. Um, I'm better than this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the root causes. The second thing is, now that you are aware, you are experiencing low self esteem, then don't stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stay there.
Mm-hmm.
Begin to plan.
Mm-hmm.
Begin to plan. What part of my life would I like to see a difference in? Okay. Is it in my family life? Is it my social life? Is it in my relationship? Is it in my work? What are those? Identify those areas, right? And once you have identified the area that you need to change, then take action.
Mm-hmm.
Take action.
Mm-hmm.
Take action in the sense that, now, one of the things I'm going to borrow this tip from you, because I actually heard you say this, and it's so true because it works a lot for my clients, right?
Yes.
It's journaling. Write
Yes.
things down.
Mm-hmm.
Write it down. These are the things that I'm going through. Make a note so you will discover that there might be a pattern, okay, to the way you feel. Write it down. These are the things I want to change. Write it down. If
Mm-hmm.
it's your health, for example, for a lot of people who've been suffering from low self-esteem for a very long time, that are on the borderline of depression, they don't want to go out. Make up
Yes.
your mind that, okay, today I'm going to open the door. I'm just going to step out of my house, even if just for 1 minute, and
Yes.
write that achievement down. Write it down in your book. Today, the 2nd of November, I went out of my house for 2 minutes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. The
Mm-hmm.
next day, go out. If you can make it 3 minutes, see what you realize now is that you're making gradual, incremental steps towards the
Mm-hmm.
change that you want to see. At the
Mm-hmm.
end of the week, go back to your journal. You will be surprised the difference that you have made. You know, it's not something, it doesn't look like it's huge, but trust me, if you are able to commit to it and do it over a period of time, By the end of November, for example, friends, I am I want you to trust me on this. By the end of November, you would realize that you who struggled from getting out of your bed, you who struggled from, going out and, you would possibly would have done a mile in your area, and that's the little incremental changes. But it's important to just write the things you want to make, the changes you want to see, and just begin to take those baby steps towards your desired future.
Wow, I love that, Funmi. These are excellent, excellent nuggets. And I hope anyone who's watching the replay, you've taken some notes down and take even if it's just one that she shared that you can apply in your life right now and make those changes. And as you're speaking, what's coming to my forefront is are these two words, commitment. Everything that Funmi has shared, we're seeing that for that change to happen in your life is for you to make that personal commitment that you want that change. And the second word it brings to my mind is deservingness. That you deserve this. You deserve to
Absolutely.
have that better life. You deserve to have whatever it is that you want to go after. You did totally deserve it. So make that personal commitment to changing your life and recognize that you absolutely deserve it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and being intentional because it's
Mhm.
you.
Yes.
You deserve to enjoy every day of your life. You know, and just begin to also talk to yourself. Tell yourself, I deserve to be loved. I am loved. I deserve to be appreciated. I appreciate me.
Mhm.
Be intentional. And then the last one I would say is possibly have an accountability partner.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's also important. Speak with somebody that you might know. That we I'm a therapist. We have counselors, we have coaches. Have an accountability partner, somebody that can hold you onto the
Mhm.
things that you have said. And trust me, your future is going to be beautiful.
Thank you so much, Funmi. Now, before I invite you to let the listeners know how they can get access to your book, I just wanted to piggyback on one thing. Talk to yourself. And I love that you mentioned that. The reason being is that in the majority of instances, and I'm sure you can relate, I'm sure our listeners can relate, in the majority of instances, that internal monologue is almost always negative, almost always critical. So when you talk to yourself and you say those lovely things to yourself, I deserve love, I am loved, I am beautiful, I am blessed with lots of talents and abilities, and you talk to yourself like this, then you find it's like a sort of self-love where you coming to learn to love yourself again and quiet that inner critic within you. So I really, really love that you mentioned that.
Thank you. That's true.
Great. So I want to give our listeners a chance. If you want to get Snapback, let them know how they can get access to this book.
Thank you so much. So I finished writing the book. It's going to be published anytime now. So if you would like to get hold of Snapback, now what I've shared is just like a tiny, tiny tip of the iceberg. There's just so much in Snapback that
Of
talks,
course.
covers bullying, covers imposter syndrome, a lot of things, and there are exercises in every chapter of the book for you to do.
Mhm.
So if you want to get a hold of it, I'll encourage you to go to my website where you can pre-order. It's www.boostmyselfconfidence.com.
Mhm.
Www.boostmyselfconfidence.com and register. So as soon as the book comes out, going to be giving the first 20 people who registered my signed copy. So it will be signed by myself. And trust me, you'll be glad you got it. And I'm grateful, so Melissa, for having me here. Thank you so much.
Yes, the pleasure is all mine for me. I'll definitely register as well. I'm going to pop the link below the video. I might probably do that when I come back from school run because I have a live at 2:30 and at 2:45 out the door to go
Wow.
get the kids. But or if you get the chance, pop that link below the video, www.boostmyselfconfidence.com. Grab your copy, people. Get your copy. It's totally, totally worth it. right? It's totally worth it. I love books myself, and the best thing about books as well is not just getting the book, but being able to get those nuggets, those exercises that you can implement right away and see
Straight
those
away.
changes taking place in your life. It's totally, totally amazing. So thank you so much, Funmi, for coming
Thank
on
you.
this program, and we will definitely keep in touch.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You're welcome.